Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I hope you're having an amazing weekend so far. And like I promised in my last video, I'm going to go ahead and do my first vlog post. So when I asked for questions for a Q&A video, one of the questions that came through that really struck me was, how do you continue making music despite being scared, not knowing the future, all of that kind of thing? Like, why do you do this? What keeps you moving forward? And it's something that I've thought a lot about, something I've struggled a lot with, something that is a lesson that's carried with me through the years. So I thought it'd be a good thing to share some of my experience about. Maybe it'll inspire some of you, and maybe some of you can share your own thoughts about how this idea has played out in your own life. So, fear. I have struggled with a lot of fear in my life. Mostly, my fear is related to perfectionism, which I might do a separate video on, but fear of sharing my voice and expressing myself with the world and not meeting this ambiguous standard of perfectionism, being judged, getting criticism. So the biggest thing for me in my life has been developing self-confidence to the point where I realized that if you're sharing your voice with the world, if you're sharing your art with the world, there are going to be people that disagree with you. There are going to be people that don't like it. There are probably going to be people that hate it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone says about you. It only matters what you think about yourself. Because when you are sharing yourself authentically and completely, flaws and all, to the world, some people, and a lot of people, are going to be drawn to that. People are going to want to connect with you. People are going to want to support you. But then, of course, there are always going to be people who aren't. So I think the key is to focus on the support, to focus on the positive, to focus on the people that you can find a community with, and not to focus on people that are sending you criticism. And let's just talk about criticism for a second too, because sometimes criticism is people sharing their actual opinion and they just don't like whatever you're doing. And like I said, that's perfectly fine. That's their opinion, and just accept that with grace and move forward from it. Continue to share, and it doesn't matter what they think. But then there really are times where people are being critical for the sake of being critical. People are criticizing you because it's a reflection of their own self-criticism. Like, you've probably seen this play out with like drama at school and stuff, where you would have someone who is insulting you for seemingly no reason, like you didn't do anything wrong to them, they're just criticizing you. And what people will tell you, and I believe it's true, is that sometimes when people are just almost randomly critical like that, it's really more of a reflection of their negative opinion of themselves. So the best thing you can do is just to embrace responses, criticism and all, or just ignore it if you need to, and know that sometimes that's that person talking from their own insecurity, and it doesn't even have anything to do with you specifically. So that's something that's kind of helped me along the way, at least to look at things that way. Now, in terms of just being scared, not for criticism, but just my own fear of not being good enough. I mean, I still live with that fear, and I think everyone does. I think no matter what point you get to, every time I share a song, I wonder, are people gonna like this? Is this bad? Does my voice sound bad at this part? And it's okay to have those concerns and those self-doubts. I think that confidence is a process. I mean, it's like people say confidence is like a muscle. It takes time to develop, and I would completely agree with that. I've definitely grown from the point where I used to be totally terrified to sing in front of people or share anything that I'd written for anyone else. I mean, I wrote for years and years without sharing it. But then one day I realized my music isn't doing anyone else any good being stuck in my head. My writing isn't doing anyone any good collecting dust on my shelf. It might not be perfect, but shared work that is imperfect is drastically better than beautiful, imperfect work that is left unshared. I feel that we all have so much beauty and so much art and so much love to share with the world, but to do that, we have to be courageous, to open up our hearts and ourselves to criticism and to leave ourselves vulnerable. It takes a lot to do that, and I'm so inspired whenever I see any of you guys sharing on YouTube, sharing any kind of inspiration or art with others in any kind of way, because you're leaving yourself open to criticism, but also you're giving this beautiful gift to the world. You're giving a piece of your soul. You have no idea what person might need to hear the song that you've written or the thought that you want to share in a vlog or in a blog post, who might need to see the artwork that you've created. Don't underestimate your power in your creative work. Don't underestimate your influence, because someday you might have someone coming up to you and saying, you know, this song that you shared, it gave me the courage to keep going with my life. And that'll make it all worth it for you. So just don't give up. Most importantly, don't give up on yourself. Don't ever let anyone convince you that you're not good enough, because that is a lie. You are beyond good enough. You are perfect in your imperfection, and anyone who tells you otherwise is speaking from a place of insecurity in their own self-doubt and should be completely ignored on that issue, because they don't know what you're capable of. Only you know what you're capable of, and well, I know what you're capable of, and I'll support you, and hopefully you can support me too. And that kind of mutual support within a community it's vital, to find people who will be positive, who will uplift you, who will tell you, or I should say remind you of your worth when you need someone to remind you of that. Don't underestimate yourself just because one person underestimated you or your potential, or because the whole world did. I don't care if 6 billion people come up to you and say you aren't worthy or you're not good enough. It still isn't true, because you know your truth. You know your truth, which is that you are worthy beyond measure, that you can accomplish anything. And I believe that's something we all know at a very soul level, but that we all forget from time to time too, which is why we need positive people to remind us of that from time to time. But I just hope that this video can encourage you, and to know that everyone struggles with doubt, that everyone struggles with insecurity, that just because someone looks perfect or like they have it all together on social media like Facebook, Instagram, it seems like their life is perfectly together. It's probably not. I mean, I struggle with doubt and insecurity. I think everybody does, if they're being honest with themselves and honest with the world. And I think the key is that it's okay to feel those things. Just feel those things. There's a book that's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Love that book. I'd highly recommend it. But that's the key, is to feel the doubt, feel the insecurity, feel the fear, and say, I'm not going to let you stop me. I'm not letting this stop me from being the inspiring and creative person and loving person that I know I am. So I just hope that you were encouraged by this in some way moving into your weekend, to be courageous enough to leave yourself vulnerable by opening your heart to people and by sharing. And like I said, I am here to support you, and hopefully we can support each other and inspire one another along this journey. Have an absolutely amazing, passion-filled, inspiration-filled, creative rest of your day, and thank you for listening to these thoughts. Bye guys.